someone had to have cut that out, and what would it have been Lana saying, oh, but Gant helped me with it. Also, wait a minute. Oh, that glove was a left glove. And that was a right hand. Yeah. Well, either way, you can't present evidence here.
You just saved, right?
Yeah, you just saved.
Yes, Your Honor. I do have further evidence.
All right, the time's finally come to show it to them. Those prints have got to be the chief's.
Now then, let's see this conclusive evidence. The evidence that shows who actually murdered the marshal.
So we just present that.
Well, I mean, we still have to get to the point where it's like, why was that cut out?
I have a feeling it's one of those things where...
It's a piece of leather cloth. Yes, it most likely was cut from the victim's vest near his chest. What's this? There's a big handprint on it. Surely it must have been left on the cloth by whoever... Wait. Oh, never mind.
It was found in Chief Gant's safe.
Left on the cloth by whoever shoved the victim into the sword. What? Whose fingerprints are those on this? I'm sure Vito has checked, haven't you? Well, whose are they? They're Miss Skies. Miss Emma Skies.
What? They're mine. So I really did do it.
See, I told you it was conclusive. But this was found in your safe. That means it's possible you forged it. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't remember any cloth in my safe. Do you really expect me to believe that? But... Give it up, Mr. Wright. It's over. You shouldn't have presented that. By presenting that evidence, you tied Emma Sky to Neil Marshall's death.
So you could have withheld it?
Maybe. It appears we have our killer. No!
Was that a fail state?
I think so. No!
So we're supposed to withhold it?
Everything hinged on that point. In the end, Lana was something or other, or Lana was found guilty. Wow, that was a lengthy failure state.
That was.
Dang.
That was an actual failure state. So you're really supposed to refrain from showing the evidence, but is it because it's evidence that was acquired?
We've got to have something else.
Were we really supposed to present something else?
Do you know which one to show?
Wait, what about using something to your advantage?
I presented the wrong thing.
Was it the knife?
No, I presented the trophy.
Yeah, you presented the trophy.
Maybe the glove?
Yeah, why the... No.
Yeah, can't show them that yet. Why not? You know which item to show? Mr. Wright. You're not sure.
Maybe you're just supposed to say you can't show the evidence.
How can you use that evidence to your advantage? What do I do now? Your Honor, I don't have any evidence I can present at this point in time. What? You lie.
Because he can't say anything.
You're right.
You acquired it
Chief Gant.
via questionable means.
You opened my safe. I know you took what was inside.
He's admitting to it.
Conclusive evidence. I don't know what you're talking about.
Mr. Wright, why don't you show them? We found it together.
Oh, I see. It's because you don't know the truth, do you? Don't you? You know whose fingerprints on it. That's why you won't present it. What are you talking about, Chief Gant? Can't you figure it out? Take a good look at this picture. See the victim's vest? Notice anything odd about the chest area? It looks like part of it's been cut out for some reason. You mean you had this in your safe?
What? That means you, Chief of Police, have been concealing evidence. This is gonna be the biggest scandal in the history of the police department.
Self-incriminating.
Impressive. To be honest, I didn't think you had the gall, Raito. Well, I can't just let you pin me up as the murderer. I'll tell you what really happened.
What? You mean you admit to it?
I was the first person to arrive at the crime scene that day. It then occurred to me that I could use the situation to control Lana.
So you really were manipulating her.
I knew Lana. If I made it look like the blame lay with her sister, that when she saw the scene, she would ask me for my aid. So you assisted Miss Sky. I told her to arrange all the evidence. I had her plant the knife tip in the victim's body and move the body across the room. And I ended up using that evidence to get Joe Dark convicted. When I tampered with the crime scene, I hid 2 pieces of evidence. This was before Lana arrived at the scene, mind you.
Right. So how have they been able to make that agreement?
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
2 pieces of evidence? You mean those items in your safe?
But why?
For insurance, of course. Insurance? I was sure my plan would work, but it's always best to be prepared for the worst. I wasn't about to let anyone blame me for a murder that girl committed.
You mean you were calculating that far ahead while forging the evidence?
What do you take me for, a fool? I didn't make police chief by dumb luck. See this jar fragment? Had the most legible part of Emma's name. I didn't expect Lana to go and wipe the blood off all the pieces.
But if you fabricate...
Oh, no. What am I doing? Look, I have to voice act 4 different dudes back and forth for like half an hour. It's a problem. This is the other reason why I need a bit of a break. This has been really hell on my voice. If you fabricated all the evidence, let's just say you did fabricate the message on the jar too. Ha 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 ho! Some people just don't know when to quit, do they? That's why I kept 1 more item for insurance. You mean that piece of cloth? Come on, Raito, cough it up already. I know you have it.
What are you waiting for, Mr. Wright?
So you admit to it then, Chief Gan, that you were hiding the cloth you cut from the victim's vest in your safe. Yes, I admit it. I didn't want to have to do that, being chief and all. But it's a lot better than being portrayed as a murderer.
Well, Mr. Wright, what do you have to say for yourself? Just a moment ago, you said you didn't have any evidence you could present.
Foolish move, Raito. You said you should have shown it then, before it was too late. It's been a long battle. Saving. My voice is gonna die. It's been a long battle. But the moment of truth has finally arrived. As long as I don't mess up here, victory is mine. Your Honor, I do have evidence to present now.
All right, then. Let's see this conclusive evidence. The evidence that shows who actually murdered Prosecutor Marshall.
It's still the who murdered Prosecutor Marshall. It can't be... What he said there was that... Wait a minute. Can you go back a moment?
No.
No, to the picture. How did the... I'm just looking at the blood going all the way down. I suppose his vest could have flopped to the side.
I was actually gonna say, maybe we shouldn't.
I don't think you should present the evidence. What did you present?
Just random garbage. I'm going back. I think we're gonna say no and then case law.
Mm-hmm. Because I think that's what this has been testing you on this whole time.
No, it's too late to show the evidence now. Besides, even if I did, it just exposed that poor girl's fingerprints. Right, think hard over the circumstances. The circumstances? Talking about then and now. There's one major difference between the two. Aren't you waiting for that difference? Yeah, so we do.
We do have to present it.
Yep.
Oh, Edgeworth figured out his plan.
Yep.
So we do have to present it, but it's just going to be incriminating her, except...
But remember, he had it in his safe.
He had it in his safe, which means that he was...
Yeah.
Yeah, behind it. Hopefully he'll just gloat about it, and then we'll...
Let me verify once more.
Counter.
On the day of the crime, you personally cut out this piece of the victim's vest. Oh, yes. At last, you finally brought it out into the open. There's a handprint on this piece of cloth. Your Honor, the prosecution requests that immediately be sent to the lab for analysis. This handprint on the leather must have been a strong impact for it to be left so clearly.
You mean?
It could not have been forged. It could not have been forged. It must be authentic, conclusive evidence. You're slow on the uptake as ever, Worthy. What? Think about it. Righto had all the time to present this evidence, and I did. Yet he was reluctant to do so. Why would that be? You mean you already know? You know whose fingerprints are on that.
Mr. Wright, do you really know?
Yeah, there's no blood on the cloth.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, you're right.
Whoever the fingerprints belong to must be the real murderer. Whose fingerprints are they?
Because when I was pointing out that photograph, I was like, wait, why is there so much blood on the white shirt?
Yeah, you're right. Very well, I'll tell you. It should be okay now. Everything's proceeding as predicted. The person to whom these fingerprints belongs to is... God, it's so tempting to present Meekins, but no.
Emma Skye!
What? They're mine?
I'm sorry, Emma.
But why? Why didn't you tell me?
You're really something, Righto. You knew this girl did it all along, and you still tried to pin the murder on me. So it's true. Tragic, but true. This girl really did shove Prosecutor Marshall to his death.
Hold it! How could you? You monster!
Miss Skye.
You knew whose fingerprints those were all along, yet you acted like she really didn't.
Miss Skye, it's not over yet.
What?
I said this trial isn't over yet.
But I'm afraid it's over, boy. Not only this trial, but your career, too. You purposefully concealed this conclusive evidence. That, my friend, is a serious offense. I'm looking forward to pressing charges after the defendant is convicted. I'll have your badge, boy.
Not your badge.
What will I give to Gumshoe?
What's the matter? Cat got your tongue. Aren't you going to tell us how it feels? How it feels to be the one who single-handedly turned a poor little girl into a murderer?
Before I do that, there's just one little thing I have to clear up.
Oh, and what's that?
Who really killed Prosecutor Neil Marshall?
What?
Chief Gant, you are absolutely right. This piece of cloth proves who the real murderer is. Who killed Neil Marshall, you ask?
It was Emma Skye, wasn't it?
I'm afraid that's not possible. You see, this piece of cloth contains a critical contradiction.
What?
There should be
a
blood all over it.
contradiction? What is this fool babbling about?
I'm talking about a contradiction. One that proves who the real killer is.
Mr. Wright, this piece of cloth, what could it possibly contradict?
Chief Gant, your tyrannical reign ends here. Behold the piece of evidence that contradicts this cloth.
The photo?
And what exactly is this supposed to be?
This is the picture Miss Sky took. Take a good look at it.
Blood everywhere.
See where the piece of his vest was cut out?
Yes, his shirt is showing underneath. Hard to make out with all the blood on his vest, though.
Exactly my point. His chest is soaked with blood. That's only natural. His lungs no doubt were punctured. Blood poured out of his mouth.
Oh, but that piece of cloth.
Very pristine.
Wait, there's no blood on it.
Since Emma Sky's fingerprints are on the cloth, there's no doubt that she shoved the prosecutor aside. However, Mr. Marshall was not impaled on the sword at the time.
No, this is nonsense.
Now then, Chief Kent, let me ask you something. Prosecutor Marshall was not impaled when he was shoved aside. He most likely hit his head on the ground and was knocked out. If so, then tell me, who could it have been? Who could have arrived at the scene before Miss Lana Sky, picked up the unconscious prosecutor, and impaled him on the armor's sword?
After cutting out the handprint?
Yeah, why not?
Mm-hmm.
He saw the handprint, clear as day. Easy peasy. I mean, this guy is an expert at forging evidence. Angel Star said that.
If I
like,
smacked
ages
you with
ago.
my hand, I wouldn't be leaving a handprint on your t-shirt.
But he's an expert detective.
Also, I suppose it was a leather. I don't know. Unless it was like a suede leather, then you could see a handprint.
Yeah, it could have been. But it's not. It's got the hexagonal pattern if you look at it really closely. Oh, there we go. There's a very distinct hexagonal pattern when we were looking at it earlier, but it looks like
Who knows?
handprint. Okay.
Oh, yeah, we don't need it. Someone left it behind.
Oil on the fabric.
Oil,
Must
really
have
oily
oily hand.
hand.
Think about it scientifically, huh? The likely
Well,
explanation is.
Okay. On a freshly waxed floor, getting wax all over their hand.
Well, that would account for this amount of oil, I guess. Don't see what's so scientific about it, though.
So she was knocked to the ground, and that's when she went up and, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what explains the handprint.
That's weird details. Then, to make it look like Emma was responsible for the prosecutor's death, said person proceeded to write her name on the jar with the victim's blood. A jar that they then broke on purpose to leave behind a clue. And make Lana believe her sister did it. Remember what you admitted only moments ago? That you personally cut out this bloodless piece of the victim's vest. Ironic, isn't it? Through the very act of creating insurance, you proved that you were the actual murderer.
No!
Well, that was a little bit longer of one. It's finally over.
Oh, objection from whom? Oh. Ah, he looks desperate.
That was close, righto. You almost had me. Sorry, but you'll have to do better than that. I refute your allegations. What do you mean you refute his allegations? You see that piece of cloth? Is legal evidence.
Ah, he's doing that again.
Order! Order! What nonsense is this? Illegal evidence cannot be used to convict a suspect. Remember, Aji? Early old Raito here concealed that piece of cloth. So then, what's your excuse, Raito? You do have some conclusive evidence, don't you?
Your Honor, I don't have any evidence I can present at this point in time.
Well, that's true. The defense did refuse to present evidence. That moment, that piece of cloth ceased to be legal evidence.
But that's not fair.
Did you actually think you could best me in court? It looks like the last laugh's on you, son. I'm afraid Mr. Gant's claim is legally correct. Well, Mr. Edgeworth?
True. Illegal evidence cannot be used to convict a person. Assuming, of course, that evidence is indeed illegal. Huh? Well, Mr. Wright. It seems, at last, the time for me to reveal my plan has finally arrived. Mr. Wright, do you admit to it that you purposefully and illegally concealed this piece of evidence? I did not. I admit, I refused to present it at one point.
Aha! So the evidence is illegal.
No, it isn't, Mr. Gant.
Huh?
It's not that I didn't present evidence then. It's that I couldn't. What do you mean you couldn't?
Because it wasn't legal.
And it wasn't relevant.
Wasn't relevant yet.
There are certain procedures involved when presenting evidence.
No! Aji, don't listen to his lies! He's nothing but a coward you can't really believe!
There's only one issue left to be resolved in this trial. Is this evidence legal or not? Very well, let's settle this once and for all. Earlier you refused to present evidence. If you can prove your conduct was not in violation of the law, then do so now.
Is it just the book?
The book. This is my proof, Your Honor. Evidence law.
What's this?
I've done my homework too, Chief. Indeed, Emma Sky's fingerprints were on this piece of cloth. However, at that point in time, this was merely a piece of cloth, nothing more.
But then
What?
he brought up that it was something in his safe.
You see, it's written right here in this book, the second rule of evidence law. Rule number 1, no evidence shall be shown without approval of the police department. I found this piece of evidence myself, inside your safe. It goes without saying, I did not have approval from the police department. Rule number 2, unregistered evidence presented must be relevant to the case on trial. And here's the crux of the matter. You see, at the time it was impossible for me to prove the relevance between the cloth and the SL9 incident.
What? What kind of nonsense is this? You want relevancy? Just take one look at this picture and...
Sorry, but can you recall when was that picture presented? That was shown only a few moments ago.
No!
He's right. At the beginning of today's trial, that piece of cloth was still meaningless. The person who gave it value as evidence was you, Damon Gant. You yourself confessed to a certain truth. Let me verify this once more. On the day of the crime, you personally cut out this piece of the victim's vest.
Oh, yes. No!
It was then that you approved this cloth.
And he
as
is the police
conclusive
department.
Evidence.
Yep.
Yes, you, the chief of police, personally approved this cloth. The only person who could have cut this from the victim's vest is the one who stood before the prosecutor marshal in his final moments. In other words, the real murderer. And there's only one person who that could be. Damon Gant. The killer was you.
No, no.
It's going to go He's and Haws. He's and Haws. You're not changing it.
I can't. I'm too
Did you see
tired.
how he was like, ha
My
ha?
voice is like a couple minutes from dying.
After a while.
I wasn't even reading it. I was just clapping and doing whatever.
I knew I should have gotten rid of him. That good-for-nothing scum. For 2 years he's been snooping around the department trying to get something on me. Crimes are being committed every day, yet he insisted on hounding me.
Well, your crime wasn't exactly petty.
He wanted to reinvestigate the case. He recruited Angel Star, then convinced Bruce Goodman.
Detective Goodman?
Yeah, that's right.
If the evidence is transferred, I'll... Wait, no. If the evidence is transferred, I'll lose my only chance to find out the truth. Please, you've got to help me. I haven't done his voice in ages, so it was just I don't know, whatever.
Goodman turned him down, as he ought to. Still, Jake Marshall didn't know when to quit.
He stole Goodman's ID card and tried to take the evidence.
Goodman came to me that day. He wanted to file a lost item report. I went with him to the evidence room. Then all of a sudden he decided to speak out. What are you talking about, Goodman?
Can you please reopen the investigation, Chief? We can't transfer the evidence out. There's too many questions left unanswered.
He opened his evidence locker, and as he was taking the evidence out, he said,
It's not too late. I'm going to hand all of this over to Marshall.
well, to be honest, I was a bit taken back by his words. I had a bad feeling when he came to see me, but I never thought he'd bring up SL9. That's when I saw it. That accursed knife. I couldn't just pull it out.
Doing so would have only led to more blood, making it near impossible to hide your crime.
Even so, the blood was just pouring out. I didn't know who might stumble in, so I heard to wipe it up. I was worrying so much about the floor, I didn't realize my fatal mistake.
The bloody handprint on Detective Gumshoe's locker.
I used to be known as the crime computer, but everyone has to start somewhere, I guess. I was too nervous. I had no business doing any of it.
And you put the body in my car.
I'm sorry I couldn't think of any other way to move the body. I broke your trunk. But what's the big deal? You make a lot more than us detectives ever will. Gah.
Leaving the prosecution's car aside, how? How could you get Miss Sky involved in all of this?
Well, she had as much to lose as I did if the truth ever came out.
You took the evidence from Detective Goodman's locker.
Felt bad for having to do it. I also didn't have the time to pick and choose what to take.
So, you left the jar fragments in the glove.
Yeah. Looks like I was better off being an investigator investigator of crimes than a committer. They all did their best to get in my way. I've got to hand it to them. They do their jobs well, much to my dismay.
Fake evidence does not hold up very well on close examination. You must have known that.
Tell me, Worthy, why do you stand in court?
Me?
You despise criminals. I can feel it. You and me, we're the same.
Oh, he's doing the we're the same appeal that all villains do.
One day you'll understand. Oh, believe me, you will. You're just one man. You'll see what it really takes to bring them down. What it takes to bring them down once you try to go it. You'll see what it really takes to bring them down once you try to go it alone. Well, looks like it's time to say goodbye. Oh, Aji. What? Looks like we'll have to cancel that lunch date. Sorry, old friend.
I'm sorry too, Damon Gant. I knew you as you used to be, long ago, back when I had hair, and we both swam together, naked as we were. You were once a fine investigator, an example to others on the force, and a sweet ass. I'm sorry to learn that you're no longer that person.
Those days are gone now, Aji. Thanks for all the memories, though. Don't worry, you'll be fine. Now you have Raito here. And Worthy. With these two around, you can't go wrong. In fact, I can hear them already. The melodious sounds of a new beginning.
There are two things I want you to understand.
Yes?
First, your sister never hurt anyone. Second, Damon Gant betrayed you from the very beginning. You see, Miss Guy, you no longer have any reason to keep silent.
We still didn't get a straight answer about what happened to Marshall.
What? No, we did.
Like the original Marshall.
Yeah, when Emma pushed him, he hit his head too. Like,
But then Gant decided to murder him?
Yeah.
Why?
Just
to give Dark someone to have quote unquote killed?
Yeah, to give Dark someone to quote unquote kill, to get ammo on Lana, and Yeah, pretty much those two things. It's the more you think about it, the more it's ridiculous because you straight up could have just like got him on attempting to take a hostage and attempted murder, which would have been more or less circumstantial evidence enough to get the right. But no, had to kill the dude because that's how it works. It's dumb, but I don't know.
You're right. When this trial is over, I'll tell everything. All that I've done these past 2 years. From the time I had Gant help me forge evidence, up until today.
So, it seems all the questions raised in this trial have been answered. I'm sorry, Miss Sky. I couldn't get you out of all of your trouble.
My. What high standards you have for a rookie.
Excuse me, I haven't lost a case yet.
I can see why Mia thought so highly of you. Who knows? A few years from now, you just might make it to the top. I owe you my thanks, Mr. Wright.
Miss Sky.
And to you too, Mr. Edgeworth. You've suffered every bit as much as I have over these past few days. Believe me.
I was about to say past few years, but I don't know about that.
Believe me, I know how much of an ordeal it's been for you.
Huh. It was nothing. Liar.
I was worried the pressure might break you. And yet, you rose above it all and guided Mr. Wright to victory. You've done well, Mr. Edgeworth.
Stop it. I only did my job. In light of this case, it seems a good self-examining is in order for all of us. Miss Sky.
Yes, Your Honor?
You're innocent of murder. However, although the chief blackmailed you, the fact is you still acted as his accomplice. The trial will be scheduled for these crimes at a later date.
Yes, I understand, Your Honor.
Is there something amusing about all of this? Why are you smiling?
It's been a long time, Your Honor. A long time since I felt free of these heavy chains.